Because guess who's back? Celebrity Court is back. It's back. We're back. I apologize, everyone. It was a crazy week last week, and we just could not get this court open. You all know Sean Diddy Combs. He was convicted under the Mann Act, sentenced to a federal prison, and appealing from a cell. 4 years behind bar and a lifespan reputation under review. The judge cited his patterns of exploitation, rejecting pleas for leniency. His team is appealing and arguing the sentence relied on dismissed charges. Now, the man who once called "can't stop, won't stop" just hit a federal wall. 4 years may sound light, but the court of public opinion already handed him life. Diddy's empire was built on power, and now that same power's his fall. We're going to unpack all of this with our legal beagles tonight. Attorney Ashley Carter, Attorney Sean Carter, and Attorney Jason Weiss. All of you, please welcome back to Celebrity Court. All right, let's go to you, Attorney Sean Carter. Can judges legally use acquitted conduct to justify harsher sentencing? Because that's what a lot of people want to know.
Oh, and yes, there's actually a 1997 Supreme Court case, U.S. versus Watts, where they said federal judges may use that conduct in sentencing if they think that it's been proven by preponderance of the evidence. Because remember, criminal trial is beyond a reasonable doubt, right? And so he said that the judge can say, "Hey, yeah, I know that by beyond a reasonable doubt, the jury said they couldn't make that determination, but I'm 68% pretty sure you did that stuff, all right? And I can give you more time." Now, the more time they gave him, by the way, the sentencing guidelines for someone in Diddy's situation was 21 to 27 months. So averaged out like 25. And he basically gave him 50. So he gave him double the amount of time that he otherwise would have gotten in that range. But it's still within well under 10 years, right? Well under 20 years, he could have given him consecutive. So it's not like the judge went all, beyond the sentencing guidelines and went completely nuts. And the guidelines are called guidelines for a reason. It doesn't mean the judge has to stick to them exactly. He can go below, he can go a little bit above. And so it's going to be hard for Diddy to argue, he's going to argue it. Trust me, you're going to take it to appeal. There's a couple Supreme Court justices who will agree with him and say, you shouldn't get more time, but it's not likely he's going to win it. He's going to have, it's probably going to take more than 2 years to get there.
So let me ask you this then. We'll go to our resident entertainment attorney. Is Diddy's appeal credible or just a PR damage control? But hold that thought, because the reason why I asked that is there's a whole lot of media circling on IG, which is saying because he's a first-time offender or federal, he only has to serve 85%. So that drops it down. Because he's going to enter into a drug rehab, that drops him down by 6 months. He gets eligibility to cut his sentence by 6 months. Is this all true as it relates to his sentencing being reduced because he's a first-time offender, because he can, enter a drug rehab, or is this all PR? And how do we know the difference legally, Attorney Carter?
Okay, so I did attend some of the trial. I attended the verdict and I attended the sentencing. And Sean Carter is correct. It was somewhere between 21 to 27 months if you look at the case law. But in particular, one case that stood out to me, there was someone that taped sexual acts with, so Diddy taped with obviously adults. This person taped a minor, a 14-year-old girl, and he got 24 months. He only got 24 months. And so as much as people say, oh, things are just guidelines, and yes, a judge technically has the right to go under and over, when you just look at all the case law, for him to essentially just double, because that's essentially what he did, Sean. He doubled what he would have received.
Right.
It's just something about it that doesn't sit right with me. And they're going to, of course, his lawyers are going to say it's unconstitutional. It's like double jeopardy, yada, yada, yada. But I think the judge made it clear under federal sentencing guidelines, I have the right to, he said this at the beginning because he knew the lawyers were going to object. He said it like a couple of times because he knew they were going to object, right? Brian Steele, who I met, by the way, awesome guy. he was like, listen, I know you're going to object, but I'm just letting you know. The sentencing guidelines say that I have the right to take his whole conduct, who he is, his character in totality. And I can put that in my sentencing. And let me tell you what he said was the icing on the cake. This is what put the nail. This is what essentially, as far as I'm concerned, double, got 50. Okay. The judge went off saying, oh, you've done probably more than anybody in this courtroom for people in terms of jobs and money and volunteering. And, so, it's starting to sound great. Like, oh, maybe he's nice to us. We're sitting on the edge of the seat because he's listing all these amazing things that he did. And then he goes, however, I said, oh, well.
Yep, that's it.
As soon as he said, however, I knew it was getting ready to go downhill. And I knew, and in my mind, I said 4 years as soon as he said, however, in my mind. So he essentially said, after Diddy settled the lawsuit with Cassie, the videotape had come out. He knew he was under federal investigation. He was still doing free golfs. He was doing free golfs with Jane. He got into a physical altercation with Jane. Now, according to Jane, I think she did admit to maybe starting it. She hit him. He did beat her savagely in response. So what the judge is saying is, okay, you are a first-time offender. You are this man of the community. You've done so much for hip hop, the Black community. Yes, all of that. But you know what? You use those same power and resources to essentially abuse your girlfriends for over 10 or 15 years. And for that, I'm going to say that that's your true character. And I'm not going to give you time served. Okay. I'm not going to give you the 2 years of the case law. I'm going to add to this time. And however he decided, he basically doubled the time he would have received. Now, in terms of that time being reduced, we already know he gets a year time served, right? So we're already down to 3. And then, yes, it is true if his programs in whatever facility he goes to, there's a drug one, there's mental health, there are all these programs. If they are approved, then yes, they can further reduce that 3-year sentence.
So we're looking at him getting out by the summer of next year. Hold on, Jason. Let me get through to you. I'm getting ready to go to you in a second. For her upset, only 4 years is not enough. I agree. I don't think 4 years is enough for what we learned and what has unveiled in all the other cases. So, Jason, let's come back to you.
Yeah.
What does this say about the justice system's sudden appetite for punishing celebrities?
So first of all, under the Mann Act, and I was pretty sure he was convicted under 2 counts under the Mann Act. Under the federal guidelines, he could have gotten 10 years per. So he could have gotten 20 years. Okay, so that's number one. Number 2 is the federal parole board. They went ahead and they checked and they gave a recommendation to the judge of what it should be. And theirs was about 7 years, is what they recommended. So the judge went down to 4 years, 1 year time served. He will get 85% for being a first-time offender. But the Mann Act does not allow you to get other things as a quick, you're in a drug rehab or you're in counseling. We're going to not know. So he's going to serve 85% of whatever 28 30 whatever months it is, 38 months or 28 months, whatever it is. He's going to do
that's because of the Mann Act, you're saying, because he violated the Mann Act. He does not qualify for what we're seeing.
Correct.
Rotating around. This is very good information.
Well, and we do have, on the other hand, that we probably get 6 months at the end, sort of at the early transition where you go on the home arrest before you're fully released. Also, he asked to go to a place called RCI Dix, DIX, and this is important. This is the Ritz-Carlton of federal country clubs.
Yep.
All right. If he gets in this place, I'm gonna be mad that I'm not going there. If you let me go here, I am more than happy to get away from my kids and to be able to be in this nice place. They don't have a fence, right? You can work outside the prison. You just got to basically check in at night. It is a wonderful place. They got a music studio. All right, he'd be on there with all Nelly and everybody producing new stuff. It's ridiculous. And so he's asked to go there. Now the judge doesn't have discretion there. The Bureau of Prisons will determine it. But the most he's going to get that's a low security or
minimal security. Yep.
The most he's going to get though is low security. So he's not going to, wherever he goes, he's not going to be in Shawshank, right? Because fortunately, there were no children involved, and because they didn't get him on the coercion thing. He basically has, he's going to be in a place that's not so bad.
Got it.
And so my whole point to answer your first question, Your Honor, is I don't think the judge went above. I think the judge actually weighed everything and thought this was fair. It was below. I mean, the Federal Probation Office calculated the guideline range to be between almost 6 years and 7.5 years.
Well, no. Let's be clear. That's what the prosecution wanted. And the prosecution wanted more than the minimum guidelines. They wanted him for the extra stuff. They mentioned all the stuff about Cassie, etc. So they were asking for more than the actual minimum. And the defense actually was asking for nothing, right? So he went in between the two of them. And basically between 7 and 0 and kind of came in the middle there. But the truth of the matter is that, I think the guidelines, as I've read them, are somewhere between 21 and 27 months if you just take out the beatings and all that.
I think to me, this is where you have a miscarriage of justice in my head. And the message that it sends to the other young Black men in the community is that you can treat women this way. You can do these bad things. You can weaponize your power, and it's okay, because at the end of the day, if he serves 1.5 years, that's all you have to face for all these horrible, horrible things that you've done and effects that you've had on people's lives, stealing your artist's money, these other allegations that he has.
Yes, but it's not the Mann Act, and that is what his lawyers are going to argue. And I also just want to make a clear, there's a difference between the guidelines and case law. So case law, on average, they literally looked at all 900 cases on the Mann Act, and they averaged it out. And his lawyers said, we've averaged out, and even cases with coercion, defendants only got 27 months. So there's a difference between the case law averages, what the probation people recommended, what the prosecution wanted, and with the defense. These are all different numbers. So what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, his lawyers are going to come back and say, like, the case law just doesn't support it. And then B, they're also going to say that you're still including too much acquitted conduct in your decision. They're going to stand on that. Even if they lose, they're going to stand on that.
All right, everybody, this is the jury. All right, you're the jury of the people. It's that time. It's verdict time. Is Diddy guilty or not guilty of abusing his power until the music stopped? Attorney Ashley Carter, what say you?
He's definitely of abuse of power. I straight from the quote from the judge. You use your power and resources to abuse.
Attorney Weiss, guilty or not guilty of abuse of power?
Guilty, and he should have gotten 6-7 years.
I agree. Attorney Sean Carter, guilty or not guilty of abuse of power?
That, I don't know. He's guilty of somehow turning this into a win, because if he get to go to Fort Dix, I'm gonna be jealous. All right, they have freak offs in Fort Dix every week, and they probably and probably better than the ones he's been having. All right, Diddy, call me. If you call me when you have one.
Oh, mess. All right, I'm Alan. I'm the judge of Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. We're gonna find Diddy guilty of abusing power. But maybe that's the truth about power in America. It's rented, not owned. Whether it's a Grammy, a reality show, or a quarterback contract, the lease is always going to come up. This is Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. I'm Judge Al Reynolds. Court is now adjourned.